Hey, it's Mike here, and today we're going to look at 10 amazing vegan body transformations and get some serious inspiration because all the time I'm talking about these studies and not usually putting a face to it, so today we're going to put some faces to it. While many of these will show a major weight loss or muscle gain, it's not just about how you look and how hot you are, it's also about reversing disease and becoming healthier, so I just wanted to mention that before we get to number one, which is this couple that collectively lost 200 pounds. That was their before picture, and 2 years after going vegan overnight, here is their after picture. Bam! Look at her arm, now she is ripped, and she lost 125 pounds and he lost 75 pounds. Very impressive. Her weight loss was so dramatic in particular that it was featured in this magazine. And at this point, I want to go ahead and mention the broad study that was done in New Zealand, which boasts the title of being the most effective method for weight loss in obese people at 6 and 12 months without added exercise or calorie restriction. It just used a whole food vegan diet. Okay, on to number two, Victoria Rose. Here is the before and here is the after. I know, not the most intense weight loss ever, but does she have a time machine? Her and her boyfriend just watched the documentary Earthlings and then thankfully switched to a more healthy vegan diet and quote, "Soon all the ailments and excess weight started to disappear. My long-standing acne went away within a few months of dropping dairy." Her and her boyfriend now operate candidchef.com, which has a bunch of recipes I'll link below. But I had to really look at this several times because the picture of the woman that I found, who is named Victoria on this website, did not look like she could even be the same person as that first picture. The first one is like, it's Aunt Vicky on the cruise, you know. Then all of a sudden she's like 20 years younger in a later picture. It's the same person though. Pretty amazing. The power of plants. Okay, number three. Another couple who lost nearly 300 pounds, which is a mind-boggling amount of weight. Yes, these three have all been from Forks Over Knives. We'll get to some unique ones that you definitely haven't seen in a little bit, but super thanks to them for compiling these. But they went from high cholesterol, high blood pressure, acid reflux, being afraid if they can fit in a chair or not, down to a healthy weight. And they said, quote, "Today our lab results and blood pressure numbers are fantastic, and our doctors are impressed with all the healthy lifestyle changes we have made." Now, obviously, I'm putting forth anecdotes, so I just have to quickly mention that population studies such as this one show that vegans on average have a normal BMI, unlike any other dietary group that those studies looked at. Now, number four is Lisa, possibly Lisa with two S's, of Raw Food Romance. She went on a vegan, obviously raw diet and lost about 70 pounds. Now, a lot of people think that I hate raw vegan diets, even though my first real video on the topic says that it's probably the best way to instantly remove all processed foods. But if you're going the safe route and taking B12 like the doctors recommend and not denying that you need to, and you're getting enough calories since raw food is not as calorie dense, then you're good in my book. All right, back to Lisa. I feel weird how it's like, let's look at her butt, but this before and after picture is pure proof that you can get rid of cellulite. You can reverse that, which is pretty inspirational. The main reason though that I wanted to show her is this before and after picture of her face and other pictures of her face now, and you can really see how her inflammation disappeared, which is right in line with the studies like this one showing that when you put people on a vegan diet, their inflammation markers, their C-reactive protein drops by about 30%, which is pretty amazing. And of course, you can follow her on Instagram and all that jazz. But now let's move on to number five. You may be familiar with Rich Roll. Now, I always have to say that he went from dad bod to rad bod, but it's so much more than that. I was not aware that he was an alcoholic. He then got over that, went on a vegan diet, lost 50 pounds and apparently 10 years of age, and also became a triathlete. Pretty incredible turnaround.
When I was 39 years old, on the cusp of turning 40, I was 50 pounds overweight. I had been an athlete in college, but that was very much in my rearview mirror. It was in my past. I was a junk food addict. I was not taking care of myself. And I had a health scare shortly before my 40th birthday. I decided to change my life. I found vitality through a plant-based diet. It really restored my physical body back to health and wellness.
You're probably aware of his podcast, which is available on iTunes, and I will link below, but I would also suggest watching some of the videos that he's put out recently, such as the one where he interviewed two plant-based neurologists on brain degeneration, Alzheimer's, and things like that, and there's some really good information in there. Okay, let's move on to the next one, number six. Jahina Malik, and I'm just gonna leave her before picture for a second because I want to mention that this is a unique one in the sense that she was born vegan. So in that picture, she is vegan, she looks good, but then she became a vegan bodybuilder. Now here she is as a professional bodybuilder, looking super ripped at competition, and all of that muscle was built with plants. So it goes to show that there are really no excuses left. There are none left. Now to the next one, number 7, who is my friend Aaron Shout. And before I show pictures, I want to mention a few times I've talked about my friend who has cured her anemia on a vegan diet. She had very bad anemia for a very long time and went vegan and got rid of it. And so here is her before picture. And here she is now. Yeah, it's not a giant weight loss story, but she just looks so much healthier. She even discovered that she was able to tan, which she didn't know. But this really flies in the face of anybody claiming that they're not going to get enough iron if they go vegan. So no, it's not just about losing weight and being skinny and blah, blah, blah. It's about being healthy and at a healthy weight that doesn't put you at an increased risk of disease like being obese does. And in this case, it's the opposite. It's being underweight for number 8, El Taylor. So she was hospitalized for anorexia, and then when going vegan, she was able to change her relationship with food and recover. And this makes sense to me because animal products are very obesogenic in nature. It's very easy to lose control of your weight when eating them, but shifting to whole plant foods where you can eat all of this fiber-rich food that tells you when you're full and has all these nutrients, just a completely different mindset. She has a video with, I believe, around 11 million views showing her transformation. You can check that out in the description below. All right, now number 9, Nimai Delgado. I'll just mention him quickly because I've mentioned him quite a few times. He was raised vegetarian, so that's a vegetarian on the left, and then on the right, he is a vegan and he's a professional bodybuilder, super jacked, super ripped. And this just makes the same point as Jahina Malik of gaining muscle on a vegan diet, just showing that dudes can do it too.
On a vegetarian diet since birth, so I've never consumed any kind of fish, any kind of chicken, any kind of beef. A couple years ago, I decided to convert to an all plant-based diet, and at that same time, I decided to compete in competitive bodybuilding.
And only after you turned vegan, that's when you saw the most amount of gains, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so basically 90% of your gains came from a vegan diet.
Yeah, exactly.
And yes, he is a pro by the standards of the International Federation of Bodybuilding, and I will link his stuff below. And now for the last one, number 10, this guy who lost 150 pounds and claims to have been a Chinese buffet away from a heart attack. He says, quote, on March 1st of 2012, I was 44 years old, weighed 380 pounds, and was on blood pressure and cholesterol medicine. And then, after going vegan, he says, quote, I recently went for a blood test and my numbers are now better than when I was on medicine. Before, just walking up a flight of stairs at work was a struggle. Now, I love to run. I started signing up for races, and a year and a half after starting at 380 pounds, I ran my first marathon. This is not just a good example of how weight loss and overall health go hand in hand, but also of how when you start feeling better, you can actually exercise and you get a synergistic effect, because no one at 380 pounds wants to run a marathon. Or if you're having trouble walking upstairs, you aren't even going to want to walk. And let's add a bonus before and after, an unofficial one, because it's completely internal. It is an angiogram from Dr. Esselstyn's study of putting people on a whole food vegan diet who had advanced cardiovascular disease. On the left is an inoperable clogged heart artery, and on the right is, after a vegan diet, the same artery totally cleared. Pretty cool. And that's all for the list. I guess this is the point where I should say I do have a recipe book. If you haven't bought it already, check it out. It will be linked below. But this is a great way to be inspired through the midpoint of Veganuary if you are doing Veganuary. And if any of these stories particularly resonated with you, look in the description below and you can learn more about the person's transformation. And thank you for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.
And I'm living proof that, you know, you can build quality muscle mass in a short amount of time, naturally, the key thing there, naturally, on an all plant-based diet.
It didn't happen overnight. It wasn't easy. It wasn't linear. But ultimately, I found vitality through a plant-based diet. It really restored my physical body.
welcome to my channel. My name is Rachel Amma. Now today I'm going to share with you all the things that happened to my body when I went vegan. So that is the good, the bad, the ugly, the things that went wrong and the things that went right. I want to keep it honest. I want to keep it 100 with you guys. So I really hope you guys enjoy this video. At the end, I'm also going to touch on any tips I have for new vegans and a question that I've been getting asked a lot, and that is about supplements, what I might or might not be supplementing my body with. I hope you guys enjoy this video and let's get straight in. So the first thing I noticed when I went vegan was I was so much lighter. Like, it's really hard to explain, but it's almost like you're just floating a little bit higher on the ground than you was before. There's not all the meat weighing you down and your body's not taking all this time to digest all this meat, and it just makes you lighter. It's hard to explain, but you're floating a little bit higher, and I'm telling you guys, it is true. And in turn, it makes you feel so much more energized and active. Like, it's real. I'm not making it up. That is genuinely what happened to me. So the second thing that I noticed was that I was hungry every night, 12 o'clock. I'm starving, my belly is rumbling, I'm hungry, I need food. Now that was so annoying. All it was is that I needed to learn more about being vegan. So obviously before I was getting a lot more protein from meat and fish. So all I needed to do essentially was find a way to get some more plant-based proteins in my meals and have more food. Once I figured that out, I was fine. I was no longer hungry all the time. I just needed to take a little bit of time out to research a few more plant-based proteins to fuel my body with, and then I was fine. It's just a little hiccup. And this is just what happened to me. So the third thing I noticed was my skin started to break out in these little spots on the top of my forehead, and I was getting headaches. Now, all I did for that was drink plenty of water. Now, I believe it's because my body just needed a bit of time to adjust to this new diet. So after about 2 weeks of drinking loads of water and making sure that I was eating a good amount of plant-based food and a lot of nutrients in my plant-based foods, I was fine. It was, in my opinion, it was just a bit of a detox period for me. After that, I was fine. My skin started to flourish. My headaches disappeared again. I do not get headaches. That was just a 2-week hiccup and I was fine. It could have been anything, but I do feel like my body was just adjusting. The third thing I noticed was my cellulite. I have never had an athletic or naturally toned and slim body. I was so sporty growing up. I wanted to be a professional football player. I wanted to be a professional dancer. I was on every school sport team. I was on the after school clubs doing the sports, but for some reason I was always chubby. Now, I dealt with that by, going to the gym and keeping fit. But it wasn't until I went on this plant-based diet that I really saw my cellulite start to just deteriorate. And I wasn't expecting it, and that's how you know it was real. And suddenly I looked in the mirror and I was like, wow, it's literally like just going down. Now, it hasn't completely gone, it's just kind of like a natural part of my body, but it's significantly reduced, significantly. So that was one of the greatest things that I noticed in my body's transformation on my vegan diet. So the fourth thing I noticed was my skin, hair and nails. Now, my nails are so strong now. Even when I'm doing Muay Thai, my nails, they never break. I even went to get my toes done. I hate the word toes. But yeah, I went to get my toes done and she went to cut my toenail and it was hard. She had to use a lot more force than she was expecting. It took a moment because they're just so strong. Also, my hair is growing through well. My skin is flourishing. So that is from eating a healthy plant-based diet and drinking plenty of water. And in terms of spots, I also wanted to mention, if you have me on Instagram, then you know I recently went on a soy overdose. Interestingly, about, I can't remember, 7-10 years ago, somewhere around that mark, I went from normal milk to plant-based milks. And the only one that was really available in all the supermarkets near me was soy milk. So I was having soy milk every day. And I remember this clearly. I was doing work experience in the summer holidays. I was having a soy hot chocolate every day, a huge one. A few weeks into it, I noticed that every day at about 12 o'clock, I was crying. And I couldn't understand why I was crying. No one had made me sad. I wasn't feeling low about myself. I was in an okay place. I was a teenager. I was in work experience. Life wasn't too serious. And for some reason, I was crying and I didn't know why. And then I'd be fine. So 12 o'clock, I cry. Then I'm fine. Next day, go to work. 12 o'clock, I'm crying. So I started to look at the food I was eating, and the only thing that was different was incorporating soy milk into my life. And obviously once I researched about soy milk and how it can affect your body and can affect your hormones, I was like, yeah, this soy is not for me. So I cut it out, stopped crying, everything was fine. And then recently I have been incorporating more tofu and soy into my diet. I just saw other people eating tofu and I kind of was like, I want to eat tofu too. So I started eating a lot more tofu. Before long, my face started getting very spotty, my back got spotty, my boobs were hurting, and I could just tell that something was off, and this wasn't how my body typically works. And the only thing that was different was I started eating more soy again. So obviously I was like, so for about 2-3 weeks now I haven't had any soy-based products, and my spots had cleared up, my boobs no longer hurt, and everything has kind of normalized again. Because soy is kind of like a controversial topic. Like, there's so many studies that are contradictory. I personally am going to be avoiding it again because it just is not for my body at all. It doesn't work for me. I know some people have lived their lives on soy and like, what do you mean? It's not for me. That was kind of sidetracked, but I thought it was relevant and some of you might be able to relate to it. The fifth thing I noticed was my number 2s. They are just amazing. I know, sorry if you don't like talking about poos, but my poos are just significantly amazing. Now about, I don't know, 8-10 years ago, I was diagnosed with IBS. I went to see loads of specialists because I had a lot of pains. I would cry, I'd be in so much pain. I wasn't going to the toilet. I had operations to figure out what was wrong. No one could find out what was wrong with me. Then my mum said to me one day, I think you're lactose intolerant, cut out dairy, and I did. And cutting out dairy changed my life. All the pains, all the cysts, all the problems that I had that were unexplained was simply sorted by cutting out dairy and eventually going on a plant-based diet. Now I know IBS is this broad spectrum. There's so many different reasons why you might have IBS. For me personally, it was simply dietary. Cut out the dairy, cut out the meat. Rachel is pooing like a sorry. Also the chia seeds. My mum introduced me to chia seeds about 6-7 years ago. I noticed in the comments some people were like, wow, so many chia seeds. I love chia seeds. Like, I need chia seeds. They are just life for me. I go 2 to 3 times a day and they're beautiful ones. They're not like, oh, what have I eaten? They are healthy. If you're able to get rid of the waste in your body, you are essentially operating at a better optimum rate. If you're holding on to it for days on end, your body is not in a good place, and that's not where it should be. So at the minute I am thriving and I love it. Now those are the main things that happened to my body when I went on a vegan diet. Now everybody is different. These were just what happened to me. So my tips for new vegans. Typical things that people say vegans are low in from memory are obviously B12, some say calcium, iron, zinc, vitamin D, there might be a few others, but either way, first thing to do is go to the doctors and get your bloods down and figure out if you are low in B12, if you are low in iron, and if you are, then you have to look for routes to kind of supplement that. Now, I'm not a doctor, obviously, but that's what I did. I went to find out what I was low in, so I do take a B12 spray. Now everybody's body absorbs nutrients and minerals at a different rate. You can't really compare yourself to someone else. You have to figure out what your body might be low in or thriving in. So the best way to do that is to get some tests done, and then keep these tests up. Every few months, go to the doctor, see, has my B12 dropped? Has my iron dropped? Do I need more vitamin D? And that's not even if you're going on a plant-based diet. That is just on any diet. You want to make sure that you are getting enough nutrients and vitamins for your body to thrive. So that is my advice. Once you have found out what you are lacking in is when you can figure out whether you're going to take supplements or you're going to start using food to supplement that. If you're looking to get a bit more iron in the body, look at your spirulina, look at your wheatgrass. If you're looking to get more omegas in your body, look at your chia seeds, look at your flax seeds, look at your hemp seeds. There are plant-based alternatives to these nutrients and vitamins that are typically found in meat, so you can find those ways too. So I hope that answers some of the questions that I have been getting. I would also like to say, for anyone thinking about going vegan, It is an amazing journey to be a part of. Honestly, truly amazing. Not only are you choosing to help and save animals, you're choosing to help the environment reduce the CO2 emissions, you're also helping to look after your body. You're being compassionate to the universe, you're being compassionate to your body, and you're being compassionate to animals, and that is something to be proud of. It's an amazing movement. There are so many vegans out there that are gonna help you, that are vegans to go to dinner with. It's just a really great turning in time. You know, the universe is shifting into a much more compassionate time, and being vegan is part of it, and it's a lot of fun. The food, the recipes, being creative, swapping out this for that, it honestly can be really fun if you let it be. Don't force it, enjoy it. I don't want to ramble too much. Be compassionate to yourself, guys. It's such a great journey to be on. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments down below if you have any other questions to do with my vegan journey that I can answer, and I can put them in the next video that I upload. Don't forget to like this video if you did enjoy it, and subscribe to my channel for new videos every week. Thank you so much for watching. Bye! I love Jay Versace, and his taste in music is down to a T. Like, down to a T. Sometimes he will post a video of a song and I'll be like, damn, because he's younger than me in it. I mean, not that much, but quite a bit. And I'm like, damn. I mean, I know I'm still young for the songs, but it's just beautiful that they're still being carried on. I know when I have kids, they are definitely pumping all this kind of music.
My name is Greta Thunberg. I am 60 years old. I come from Sweden, and I want you to panic.
Greta is a 16-year-old girl who has inspired thousands, maybe even millions of people to stand up for both themselves and the climate.
She thought everything was going in the wrong direction, and now she's become a really big role model for a lot of people.
My interest about the climate and the environment began when I was maybe 10 years old, and my teachers in school told me that there's something called climate change and global warming, and it's caused by humans and our behavior. And I thought that sounded very strange, because if that was so, if there was something that big that threatened our very existence, then that would be our first priority. We wouldn't be talking about anything else. But it wasn't our first priority.
We live in a strange world where the United Science tells us that we are about 11 years away from setting off an irreversible chain reaction way beyond human control that will probably be the end of our civilization as we know it. We live in a strange world where children must sacrifice their education in order to protest against the destruction of their future. Where the people who have contributed the least to this crisis are the ones who are going to be affected the most. Where politicians say it's too expensive to save the world, while spending trillions of euros subsidizing fossil fuels. We live in a strange world where no one dares to look beyond our current political systems, even though it's clear that the answers we seek will not be found within the politics of today.
Our civilization is so fragile. It is almost like a castle built in the sand. The facade is so beautiful, but the foundations are far from solid. We have been cutting so many corners. Yesterday, the world watched with despair and enormous sorrow how the Notre Dame burned in Paris. Some buildings are more than just buildings. But the Notre Dame will be rebuilt. I hope that its foundations are strong. I hope that our foundations are even stronger. But I fear they are not.
For way too long, the politicians and the people in power have gotten away with not doing anything to fight the climate crisis. But we will make sure that they will not get away with it any longer. We will continue to school strike until they do something. And we are striking because we have done our homework and they have not.
We must change almost everything in our current societies. The bigger your carbon footprint is, the bigger your moral duty. The bigger your platform, the bigger your responsibility. Adults keep saying we owe it to the young people to give them hope. But I don't want your hope. I don't want you to be hopeful. I want you to panic. I want you to feel the fear I feel every day. And then I want you to act. I want you to act as if you would in a crisis. I want you to act as if the house was on fire. Because it is. Many people say that Sweden is just a small country and it doesn't matter what we do. But I've learned that you are never too small to make a difference. And if a few children can get headlines all over the world just by not going to school, then imagine what we could all do together if we really wanted to.
Hey guys, it's Shannon and John from That DIY Couple.
We're going to be doing a little bit of a different video today talking about our weight loss journey and how we lost 160 pounds and how we felt before and after we lost a bunch of weight.
I'm a little embarrassed to share some of these photos. I was pretty careful not to appear on social media or take too many pictures when I was at my heaviest, but we really want to inspire people to let them know that it's possible, if you set your mind to it, to lose the weight that you need to.
I've always been overweight ever since I was pretty young. I started really to gain a lot of weight in high school, and by my senior year of high school I was at my heaviest, which was 275 pounds. I didn't play sports, I didn't exercise, I played a lot of video games, and I was really focused on studying, so I spent a lot of time in my room preparing for college and studying for tests. I didn't really know anything about how to eat or how to exercise or anything about nutrition. My favorite meals were pizza for lunch, I would have Pop-Tarts for breakfast, and then I would have something that I thought was healthy for dinner, which were chicken Caesar salads from places like Applebee's or Chili's, which I later realized just the dressing alone for those salads can be as bad for you and as caloric as a hamburger. I presented myself throughout high school as someone who didn't really care about how they looked. I had bad acne, I was pretty shy and introverted, it was hard for me to meet people or to make new friends. And I'm not sure if this was the result of being heavy or contributed to me being overweight. But I didn't really have the wherewithal at the time to even realize that I was significantly overweight, which I was.
So unlike John, I wasn't really overweight as a child or until really the end of high school. I was a very active youth and I played a lot of sports. I played 3 varsity sports during high school, and even though I wasn't aware of my nutritional needs or intake, I was able to control my weight for the most part by just being extremely active. I started to put on weight in my senior year of high school when I became very stressed about college admissions. And when I entered college and stopped my physical activity, my weight would slowly climb up to, I believe I was 250 something by the end of college.
I lost weight throughout college, but not really in a sustainable way, mostly by accident. I didn't change what I was eating at all, but I did start walking because I had to walk from my dorm to my classes. and I spent a summer in India where I lost about 35 pounds, mostly because I got really sick. After I graduated from college and went to law school and resumed the lifestyle that I had had more in high school, I quickly gained back all of the weight that I had lost. So by my third year of law school, I was back at about 265 or 270 pounds.
When I graduated from college, I spent a year in Brazil where I lost a lot of weight, but in a really unsustainable way. I was running an hour a day and lifting an hour a day and not really eating enough to support that level of activity. So I harmed my metabolism, and when I came back to the United States and began a job, I quickly put on all of that weight and even more. I would put on a significant amount of weight and then I would lose it by doing an insane athletic feat like running a marathon. But then every time I stopped working out or anytime I got stressed, my weight would crawl back, and each time I gained my weight back, the amount I gained was more. By the time that 2013 or 2014 rolled around, I weighed the same amount as John. The highest I clocked was 258 pounds, but it's possible that I weighed more because I wasn't in the mood to weigh myself at that time. As a 6'1" woman, that was incredibly unhealthy for me.
In my mid-20s, I went through a time where I was really depressed. I didn't feel good about myself. I didn't feel good about what I was doing or my outlook in life. I was tired all the time, and I would go through pretty significant mood swings where some days I would feel really good and some days I would feel really bad. And I think this was something of a cycle in my life where because I was overweight, I felt bad, and because I was bad, I would eat more food and continue to be overweight. I blamed a lot of this depression during this time of my life on my work and other things, but looking back on it, I think a significant aspect of it had to do with what I was eating and how much I weighed.
I had terrible hormonal cystic acne, and my blood pressure was high, my cholesterol was high. I suffered from gastrointestinal issues like heartburn and GERD. I was pre-diabetic. I had arthritis at a young age. I got shingles. I had very bad immunity where I would get sick and stay sick for a very long time. I suffered from allergies. And the worst part was that the weight would tend to collect around my stomach, so it was very common for people on the subway to ask me when I was due. And that was always a very devastating question for me because it would really highlight for me how overweight I looked. And so I would, come home and I would just cry.
My blood pressure was quite elevated, my cholesterol was high, and I started going to doctors who would prescribe me medication to keep my blood pressure and cholesterol in check. I also have a family history of issues with blood pressure and high cholesterol, which really started to scare me by the time I had turned 30.
At that time, I was wearing a size 16 or 18 and shopping in the plus size section of department stores. And the experience of shopping was always really upsetting. I never felt good in my own skin. I never felt like clothing worked for me. And I would sometimes cry in the dressing room when trying things on. At my heaviest, I was wearing a size 16 or 18 pant, and my shirt size was a 1XL. It was very hard for people who loved me and cared about me, like John or my dad, to say anything about my weight because it was such an overwhelming sense of defeat, and it made me so upset that it was just an unapproachable topic at home. In general, I just felt each year that I put on weight as though I had gained 10 years, and I felt less vibrant. I felt unable to do things that I had previously enjoyed, and I just felt like I was driving myself into an early grave.
Right around this time, I started my first serious diet, which was Weight Watchers. I lost about 20 pounds over the course of a few months, which I thought was really good, but it required a ton of effort. Every day I was very, very concerned about what I was eating and what I was doing, and it ended up taking a lot of time just to think about and track the food that I was eating.
He was able to lose 20 pounds fairly quickly, and so was I, but unlike me, he kept it off, and as soon as I abandoned that program, all of my weight came back. In July of 2016, I felt like I really needed to make a change again. And I told John that I wanted to find a book that would help with weight loss. So we went into a bookstore and found Eat to Live by Dr. Joel Fuhrman.
We read that book over a long car trip, and I decided I was so convinced by what it had to say about weight loss, but also about nutrition and health to adopt it about a week later. I ended up losing about 70 pounds in total through that diet and also the weight that I had lost before, most of it coming within the first 2 or 3 months after I started eating that way.
It wasn't until I really saw John adopt that diet and have tremendous results from it that I fully became on board with it. But once I did, I immediately started feeling better and began losing weight. Unfortunately for me, I learned in that process that my body was quite a bit different from John's, and where he was able to lose all the weight that he needed to solely as a result of adopting the changes in that plan, I was still staying heavy. For me, the real breakthrough came when I discovered a book called Right Line Eating by Dr. Susan Peirce Thompson, which has radically transformed my life and really helped me set me on the path towards losing all the weight that I need to lose. Following that plan, I was able to lose about 10 pounds a month and gain significant feelings of control and happiness over my relationship with food without doing any exercise. I'm now at a weight that I never imagined, was possible.
Right now I weigh 180 pounds and I'm 6 feet 5 inches tall. I went from wearing a size 38 or 40 pant to a size 32. I used to wear extra large t-shirts, and now I wear a medium t-shirt. I went from being in the overweight BMI category to now being in the normal range.
So today I weighed in at 174, which is a weight that I didn't think was possible. The clothing that I'm wearing today is a size 6 pant, which I didn't even in grade school wear. And my top is an extra small, which just to hear those words come out of my mouth is insane. I never thought that I would be a girl who wore an extra small. Just because I'm not an extra small girl, I'm 6'1". Today I feel a tremendous amount of energy. I feel younger than, I feel like I'm 15 again. I just feel like I can do anything. At 174, my weight is within the normal range of the BMI scale, and I still feel like I have a little bit more to lose, but I feel confident that I will get there if I continue following the plan that I've set out for myself. My acne has cleared up. My outlook in life is bright and positive and cheery and optimistic. I feel happy. I don't feel depressed. My mood swings are not bad. I mean, I'll occasionally have mood swings, but they're as a result of true external influences in my life that are, things happen that are upsetting, as opposed to internal discomfort and conflict. My gastrointestinal issues have totally gone away. The arthritis that I was feeling, I do not feel anymore. My blood pressure and cholesterol are well within the healthy ranges.
It's hard to say the effect that this diet has had on my life because it's been so profound and so positive. I have a lot more energy. I've obviously lost a lot of weight. My blood pressure and my cholesterol came down almost immediately as soon as I lost weight, and I don't have to take any medications basically at all. By far the most important thing that's happened in my life is that I feel mentally so much better. It's something that I truthfully had no idea would be impacted by what I eat or how much that I weigh, but I feel more optimistic in general. I feel more capable. I feel younger and with sort of more vigor in life than I have probably in my entire life, and certainly at least since when I was in college.
I feel like I've added decades to my life.
In total, we've lost over 160 pounds together, And what we really want to do is to create a series of videos talking about how we lost the weight exactly, what we eat, why we decided to eat that way, as a way to help other people that are in the same journey that we have been on. We would love it if you subscribe to our videos to get updates on when we post new videos about this. Like, comment if you have a similar story or you're going through the same journey as we are. We'd love to engage with you. And we feel amazing. We have never been healthier. We've never been happier with our lives and with what we eat. And we'd love to share that with you. So stay tuned for the next video, and we will talk to you very soon.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm chilling outside because the lighting in our house is really messed up right now, and I'm kind of sitting to the side because I'm probably going to be showing a lot of photos during this video. But today I wanted to talk about how veganism and eating a vegan diet has totally transformed my health. The only reason that I say vegan diet or put it in the title is because it's kind of like a hot topic, especially right now with all the stuff going on in the vegan community. But I wanted to just shed some positivity and share my story. I went vegan when I was 26 years old, so I've been vegan for a little bit over 6 years now. I am now 32 years old. A lot of you probably don't know this, but I actually went vegan for ethical reasons, and I think a lot of people assume that I went vegan for health because that's what I focus my channel on mainly, just because veganism has had such a massive impact on my health. But I actually went vegan solely for the animals. I had to go to a slaughterhouse when I was 26 years old for my old job, and seeing what went on there will forever haunt me till the day that I die. Like, makes me emotional thinking about it. So I'm not going to talk about that right now. I'll post some links to videos down in the description box if you want to check out more of my story on specifically weight loss or specifically how I went vegan and why I went vegan. But today I really just wanted to touch on how eating this way has drastically improved my health. Not only just my physical health, but my mental health, my love towards myself, and just everything along those lines. So to start, I'll just kind of give you guys a brief background on before I was vegan and what I was kind of going through. Basically, my whole life, I was an overweight child. I was an overweight teenager. I was an overweight person. I struggled with my weight my entire life. I did a lot of restrictive diets, fad diets. I tried every single diet in the entire world. This led to a lot of other issues in my life. I had depression. I was an alcoholic. I smoked half a pack of cigarettes a day for a really long time. I had no love or self-respect for myself. I just hated who I was. I hated my life. I wanted to die, like literally. I mean, that sounds really dramatic, but I just hated everything. And because of this, I suffered through my life for a really long time. And I think the biggest thing and the first thing that I want to mention that helped me improve my health dramatically was learning to have compassion. I never had compassion for anything, and to be able to like have this emotional connection with these animals and see from their point of view like what is happening to them, that this is not necessary, they don't need to be killed, I don't need to eat this way. And to have that kind of compassion for something else and have that love for another being, it gave me so much compassion for myself, like tremendous compassion. Because I would be a total hypocrite if I, you know, cared so much about animals, not to eat them, not to hurt them, not to eat their byproducts or see them tortured or anything like that, but didn't extend that to myself. If I didn't stop torturing myself, if I didn't stop all these self-destructive behaviors. And I'm not going to say that it was easy to quit smoking or to quit drinking. I used to even take like Adderall and prescription drugs. It was really bad. Like, I really hated myself, and I'm probably going to get like emotional during this video, but I'm trying not to cry. But that was the biggest thing that veganism helped me with, self-love, like loving myself and not torturing myself to fit into the specific mold that society has said that I need to be. And that was probably the biggest thing that helped me transform my life. Through finding self-love and through finding compassion and like equality and all these things, and really like having a purpose in my life, it gave me so much purpose to take care of myself and to spread this message and to start my YouTube channel and to help other people. And being able to do that helped me in so many ways. So that's just kind of the background of, you know, how finding compassion led me to self-love, which led me to stop doing all these destructive habits like drinking and smoking and taking prescription drugs. I got completely sober. And then it was time to like tackle real health issues, because I knew that I was at a healthy weight. I still had a lot of issues. Like I never really had acne or anything, but I had really, really bad psoriasis on my arms to the point where like they were so red they would bleed. And I thought that that was normal. Another issue that I had that people always made fun of me in my entire life for was on my legs. I'll try and find a photo of it to explain it, but I always just called it hamburger skin. I had such bad circulation that my legs looked like hamburger meat. Like they just had all this, you could see like all the veins in my legs. It was really weird. And whenever I would get slightly cold, this would show up. And when I was growing up and playing basketball and doing all this stuff where I would show off my legs in like shorts and whatever, I would get made fun of so bad. And it's something that I didn't even really realize went away, was the psoriasis and this like circulation issue that I had. But it went away when I started eating a whole foods plant-based diet. I'm just going to reference a whole foods plant-based diet in this video because I went through a lot of experimentation with different kinds of diets and stuff. And what I found that works for me the best is just eating whole plant foods in abundance, not counting calories, not worrying about macros, literally just eating whole plants like beans, legumes, vegetables, fruits, whole grains, potatoes, rice, all that kind of stuff. And that is what has led me to this point. So along with the skin issues that I had, I was always one of those people that would only go to the bathroom like once or twice a week. And that, I mean, it's so weird to think that we assume that something is wrong with us when it's really, we're just not getting the proper amounts of fiber in our diet to actually move things through our bowels. Every single day, like clockwork, I go to the bathroom every morning. And it happens every single day. I have no issues. I have no constipation issues. Vegetables and fruits and nuts and beans and everything transports through our body the way that it's nature intended within 24 hours. And everything is assimilated, everything is digested, and you feel great the next day. I never feel bloated anymore. I never feel constipated. I never have issues going to the bathroom. And that is just from eating an abundant whole foods plant-based diet. Now, the biggest thing that a vegan diet helped me with was getting to a healthy body weight and having a healthy body that I can move and I can run and I can lift weights and I can be active and super flexible and live the life that I want to live. And my goal is not to live forever, and I don't think that should be anyone's goal because none of us are getting out of here alive. I want to just make it to the end, being able to walk, being able to, you know, take care of myself, being able to chew my food, not have a disease. And I look at all the plant-based doctors. I've met so many of these doctors in person. They're amazing people, like Dr. Esselstyn, Dr. Colin Campbell, Dr. Greger. I met all of them last year. Dr. Frank Sabatino. Like, I've met so many vegan doctors that are 70, 80, 90 years old, and they're still doing everything that you would assume that you could do until the day that you die. And I think that that's really the goal, because we focus so much on like looking young as long as possible or like being a certain physique. And like, I just want to be healthy and be able to take care of myself. Like, that's my goal. Like I was saying, the biggest thing that has changed in my life is definitely my weight. Before I was vegan, like my entire life, I remember when I was 12, I went on a diet, and it's really sad to say this, but at the beginning of 6th grade every year, we would get weighed and they'd take our height and they would do like this little body analysis thing just as part of phys ed, I think. And I remember at the beginning of that year, I weighed 116 pounds and I was like 4'11" or something. And at the end of the year, I was the only kid who still weighed the same exact weight. And I was so happy about it. And like, looking back at that, it's just so messed up because I was a child. Like, I was growing and I was laying in bed at night, like doing endless hours of calisthenics and throwing away my lunch and just eating carrot sticks and Like, I didn't even think of it as anything at this point. Like, I had just, you know, I grew up always thinking that I was chubby and being made fun of, and I wanted to change, and this carried on until the point that I went vegan and really got my life under control. My weight went from all the way up to 190 pounds, and it would just yo-yo back and forth. I remember the lowest weight that I actually got to, like, in my 20s was 170 pounds, and now I weigh around 130 pounds. So I was able to lose and keep off 60 pounds without even really trying. And in the last 6 years, like, my weight has changed a lot. I have had it go up at points and come back down, but it seems like whenever I just eat like 90% healthy all the time, my weight stays at this weight. And I really couldn't ask for anything more. To be able to have that kind of freedom in my life, to be happy and to be healthy and to be able to, like, do everything that I want to do and live my life and not have to ever diet or ever worry about food or worry about calories or worry about anything is honestly, like, that was my wish. If I had a genie in a bottle who was like, what's your one wish? It would have been to be a healthy weight and not have to ever worry about food again. And for anyone who is struggling with that or has struggled with that, I would highly recommend watching Forks Over Knives so that you can learn how to eat a proper vegan diet. Watch Dominion, watch Earthlings, watch Cowspiracy, just so that you can see, like, the ethical connection. And I mean, once you see what's happening in this world, I don't understand how you can go back. Like, I just don't get it. But honestly, having my eyes opened at that slaughterhouse 6 years ago has been the best thing that has ever happened to me in my entire life. And, like, I really just hope for other people that they can overcome, you know, not just like their health problems, but also like the societal standard of eating the way that a lot of people eat and realizing we don't need to eat that way. There's a much better way to eat. I always say that it'd be really funny if I could just transport back into my old body, or if like somebody who is really unhealthy or struggling with a lot of stuff or overweight or whatever could just kind of transport into someone who's really healthy to see what it feels like, to see how life can be. Because when we go through a health transformation, you know, it takes years and it takes a long time, and it's just like such subtle changes over time that it's very easy to forget where we came from. And when I look back at these photos of myself and I see who I used to be, and I just like see this girl dying inside to just find her way and to be able to live a normal, healthy life, like, I just feel for her so much. And I'm just so grateful for this online community, for all the people who have helped me along my way, every single person out there promoting a vegan diet, showing themselves thriving on a vegan diet. Like, the world needs more of this, and it's easy to pinpoint like one or two people who have failed and made a viral video out of it, but there's so many more of us out here thriving and overcoming health problems and issues that we've had our entire lives, and not having to contribute to any of the harsh slaughter and inhumane farming practices and all these things that these animals go through. So it's a beautiful thing, and I just wanted to share my story with you guys because I can honestly say 100,000,000% I will never be someone who makes a video that says why I'm not vegan anymore, because I'm an ethical vegan. I will be vegan for the rest of my life, and I just wanted you guys to know that. So if you made it this far, like I said, I'll post all the links to documentaries and videos that I recommend, and my other health stories and my like weight loss transformation, all those other videos that I have. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.
In this video, we talk about our current plant-based lifestyle. We go into why we made these changes, how certain types of diet could improve not only your energy, but your mood, your sleep, your skin, and the list goes on. We go through exactly why we made these changes and what we've noticed with a more plant-focused diet over the past few months. And we give you a few great tips next time you're in the supermarket, because just the smallest changes can sometimes make a dramatic difference to not only your lifestyle, but the way you feel. Hello everyone, my name's Sajad.
I'm Aruna.
And welcome to our channel, Millionaire Rules. Now over the last few years, we tried several different diets, but our goal was always to hopefully test one of these and then see if it could be incorporated into a long-term lifestyle change. And one thing I've definitely learned, not only in terms of health, but also in terms of business, is what you put in determines exactly what you get out, and is no different with diet. If you're eating complete rubbish, then your output's also going to be very poor. So what have we tried over the years? Well, one of the diets that was very popular, especially a few years ago, was a ketogenic diet, Atkins or paleo.
We've tried juicing as well.
We've tried juicing as well. We also tried lower calorie intakes. We also tried alternating day by day. So one day having a normal amount of calories and the next day reducing to 500 or less.
We've tried intermittent fasting.
Intermittent fasting as well.
We've also tried a military diet where you eat certain types of foods on certain days and you restrict yourself to those types of foods. And we've done a lot of process of elimination. So when I first met Sajad, he had a very bad sugar addiction. Like, when I mean bad, it was horrible. He wanted sweets all the time. He would have to have chocolate 3-4 times a day. He would have to have sweets after every meal. He would drink juice, soft drinks. What is that thing you mix with water that you guys have here? Squash?
Yeah.
Yes, he would have squash. And I saw where that lifestyle came from, because when I went to his parents' house, his sisters, his family ate the same way. His mom would always, after every meal, bring us a big tray full of sweets, Indian chai, and cookies and cakes and fruits, and it was lovely. But if you ate like this on a daily basis, you were bound to expect, your body was going to start to expect that sweet all the time.
And what I also noticed was, working in medical clinics, I would need a coffee to get me through the clinic, at least one. But then with my coffee, I'd always get a muffin or something sweet. And what I realized later was both of these forces were fighting against each other. One was trying to give me more caffeine and more energy, and then the other was actually weighing me down and making me feel more sleepy. So what I would experience every single day was this brain fog, especially in the afternoon, around 1 or 2 p.m. in the afternoon, where I could easily just fall asleep if given the opportunity.
And he would sometimes come home and go straight to bed and have an early afternoon nap around 4, sleep until 6, and then wake up and then need to go back to sleep around 11 after he'd had dinner and a snack again. So I noticed when I moved to the UK, when we got married, the food started affecting my body in a way it never had. I don't know if it was just that the food here is made or produced differently from Trinidad, but my body started to reject a lot of the foods that I had grown up accustomed to eating, like chicken, lamb, vegetables, fruits. I couldn't stand the taste of supermarket fruits or vegetables. I found they tasted very chemically and fake, to be quite honest. I didn't like how the food tasted in the UK. And my body was showing that. I started to put on weight. My skin started to break out. My hair started to drop. And I just couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong, because I was eating the same way I had eaten all my life. The only difference was my environment had changed.
And the other thing, over the last few years, as we were slowly learning more and educating ourselves more, this was not only through reading various books about the topic, but also watching a lot of YouTube videos and also watching a lot of Netflix documentaries. We started to pay more and more attention to what was actually in food and the stuff we were eating, you know, the yogurt pots we were eating, the fruit juices. And we were shocked as we began to learn that there were a few ingredients that were in pretty much everything in the supermarket, apart from raw fruits and vegetables. Pretty much everything else in the middle, the 90%, all seemed to contain stuff like a decent amount of sugar or fructose syrup. It would invariably contain salt, and also for some reason everything seemed to have milk or skim milk powder in it. Absolutely everything. It was crazy. And from my research, the scary part was that actually a few of these ingredients were very, very addictive. Studies actually showed that sometimes a sugar addiction can be worse than a cocaine addiction in terms of the effects on the brain.
We've all heard the stories about the rat in labs, what they did, and they gave the rats cocaine and sugar, and then they took away the cocaine and they took away the sugar, and then they reintroduced it, and actually the rats preferred the sugar because it had a stronger effect on their brains in terms of, what is it called, dopamine?
Yeah, dopamine.
On their brains than cocaine. So, and this is something that people are putting in their bodies in large quantities on a daily basis.
So what we had done probably over the last 2-3 years was slowly cut out things that weren't good for us. And that started with obviously very, very processed stuff, like the most processed types of meat or desserts. Those were the first that we actually cut out. And this process actually continued slowly to the point where we are actually only really focused on vegetables and quite a vegetarian or almost a vegan diet. So what sort of things are we now eating, Aruna?
So right now I cook a lot. So I make things like brown rice, fried rice with lots of broccoli, beans, tofu. I don't eat too much tofu, but Sajad loves tofu now. Now he loves tofu. We eat lots of sweet potatoes, whole grains, quinoa, whole grain pasta. I get a black bean pasta from our local vegan shop here. What else? Lots of veggies. Broccoli we eat almost on a daily basis. Beans, lots of beans. We slow cook a lot of beans. I love slow cooked beans. What else?
And even sweeter stuff like plantain. And the other thing we've done is, I had never heard about this before, but Aruna had purchased only a couple of months ago. It was an air fryer, something I'd never heard about before. So this machine, I think we had actually bought it on Amazon, actually fries food, but just with hot air alone. So no oil necessary at all. And we tried this with various types of potatoes, and we tried it with the plantain as well, and it tastes absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, so in addition to the fact that we basically cut out most, if not all meats, we've cut out all meats.
Everything,
yeah, we cut out all meats, all dairy products, no eggs as well, no sugar, and the only type of caffeine we have is from teas. We've also cut down the amount of oil we eat, a lot of oil. So the oils we eat are usually I try to get locally produced oils, locally produced meaning either from Europe or the UK, because you should always try to eat what's local to your environment. At least that's my belief. So I get grapeseed, naturally pressed, cold pressed grapeseed oil that's produced in the UK. I also get avocado oils produced in Spain. But I use these very minimal. So I've learned to saute and fry and broil things without any oil or salt.
And I'm still actually enjoying my snacks, but what I've turned to now is quite dense and high value chocolates. So something like over 90% cocoa content. And I also still enjoy my popcorn and vegetable chips, which I eat with very freshly made hummus.
Yeah, so I've purchased a lot of items to help us with this healthy eating. So I've gotten a air popper for the popcorn. We get a lot of the vegan, healthy, non-fried chips from our vegan shop here.
So the important part, what have we actually noticed? And I'll go first. So in the last few months of switching to almost completely plant-based now, I've noticed a dramatic improvement, firstly in my energy levels. This brain fog, I just don't experience anymore. I almost feel like that was a different person. I don't even know what it feels like to feel sleepy in the daytime. So now I could wake up at 6:30, 7 a.m. in the morning. If I wanted to, I could work right through until 11 in the evening with no issues at all. And the other thing I noticed, and this was a big one for me, is I don't know if it's because of the diets or genetic predisposition, I used to have a big sensitivity, a major one, to carbohydrates. But now this has flipped completely, and I could be eating carbohydrates all day, obviously good carbohydrates, so not processed, and I wouldn't feel sleepy and I wouldn't feel bloated at all. But this was in contrast to 2 years ago, where just the slightest bit of something like bread or chips or something like this, and I would feel incredibly bloated. And the other thing I noticed, which was pleasant, I wasn't expecting, was my skin has really cleared up. So from suffering with acne in my teens, I still have some old scarring, especially on the tops of my shoulders. And I noticed slowly, that's completely clearing. And what I realized was these things aren't immediate. It doesn't happen in a few days or even a few weeks. It happens months and months later. And I often think that people don't give these diet and lifestyle changes enough time for it to really take effect and for you to notice the benefit. And for you to keep motivated in terms of continuing on something. A lot of the time as humans, we need to see benefit. We need to see some sort of reason or success for us to keep doing that. So what did you notice?
Well, like I said, when I moved to the UK 3 years ago, I started putting on a lot of weight. I went to the doctors. I was diagnosed with a lot. Some of you women will be familiar with PCOS. I had an insulin resistance because of that. It was very difficult for me to lose weight. And I think just generally entering your 30s, your body becomes very sensitive to certain things and your whole metabolism changes, and mine slowed down drastically. I had always been a very not heavy person, but I started to put on a lot of weight, which I was not accustomed to. So gradually, as we started changing our diets and reverting to a very natural, unprocessed way of eating, I found that it's all kind of reversed back to the way I was reversed. So I'm not experiencing any sorts of insulin resistance. I'm not bloating anymore. My doctors don't think I have PCOS anymore because I don't have any of these symptoms. My hormones have kind of balanced out. This might be TMI for some of you men. But yes, it's definitely, I've suffered with acne all my life like Sajad. That's definitely cleared up. I have some scarring, but even that's getting less and less. My hair is starting to grow back a lot thicker, a lot healthier. And the added benefit of it is I've lost a lot of the weight I put on, and my energy levels are up, and I cannot tell you how. I never used to enjoy going to the gym. I used to think that working out was a task and something you just had to do to maintain a certain body type. But now, if I miss a session in the gym, I literally feel like my day is empty. I look forward to working out, to expending that energy, to the endorphin rush I get from it. And I have so much energy for that gym session, for working out, and for then coming home and cooking and working and spending time in the garden with my husband and my dog. It's a completely different 180 lifestyle that I've had 3 years ago.
So just before I talk about the tips, don't forget to like this video if you're enjoying the content, and also please comment down below what you've learned, not only from this video but from any changes you've made, because we're always interested to hear. We're always educating ourselves, we're always trying to learn more as well. So finally, what we wanted to leave you with is a few tips. Whatever your situation at the moment, whatever you're eating, whatever your lifestyle and demands are in terms of time, the first tip is there are a lot of myths out there, so make sure you educate yourself. It's a complete myth that vegetarian or a vegan diet won't give you enough protein or enough vitamins for you to do what you need to do, and you'll suffer a lot of deficiencies. This is complete rubbish, and there's lots and lots of studies out there showing people being followed up with blood tests regularly. They've actually found that those people who are eating a lot of vegetables and beans and things like that, they actually have towards the upper limit of vitamin levels.
And I can testify to that personally, because I was 3 years ago I did blood tests and I was deficient in almost everything, and now I've done blood tests 3 months ago, and my levels are extremely high. So I personally can say that that's not true. You can definitely have a very sufficient diet on a plant-based vegan diet.
And I remember just listening to all sorts of crap when I now started going to the gym. It was stuff like you need to bulk up, eat lots and lots of ice cream because that's the main way to add on muscle. All of this stuff, incredibly unhealthy, incredible short-term thinking. And that's not what you want to do, because then the second tip I have for you is think about the long term. Small changes you make, if you do that over a longer period of time, that can have a significant effect on your life. However, if you do something like a crash diet over a couple of weeks, yes, you might shed some water weight, but that's not going to make no difference to you long term. And in fact, it'll increase your sensitivity to things like carbohydrates. So not only will it not help you, you'll actually put that weight back on and more a few weeks down the line. The other tip I have for you as well is definitely start checking labels. Probably over 80% of the stuff in the supermarket is complete rubbish and not good for you at all. And the other thing I noticed was, I think Aruna would agree with this, your palate changes over time though. It needs 30 or 40 days to adjust. And now that we've started to taste what I would call real food rather than the processed stuff, my body can't even take in the processed stuff anymore. It just goes in and goes straight back out.
With the point on checking labels, don't just look at the nutritional value of a product or something you're buying. Don't just look at the protein, fiber, sodium, and carbohydrate content. Look at the ingredients. If there is something on the ingredient list that you don't know what it is, then you probably shouldn't be eating it. That's my rule of thumb. If I can't pronounce it, or if I don't know what it is, then I'm not putting it in my body. And I apply that now to almost everything with my makeup, my cleaning products, the things we use in the bathrooms. I don't use anything that I don't know what it is or the ingredients are. Also, there's a lot of information on YouTube, on television, on Netflix and Amazon. There's a whole whoosh of information. The vegan diet, the plant-based diet has been so well researched now that if you are interested in finding out more, there's infinite information available to you for free. I'll let Sajjad list down below some of the documentaries that we've watched together and found to be most helpful in our journey to where we are right now. Some of them are a bit intense, not for the weak-hearted, but if you can sit through them and if you can watch them, you will not only change your own diet and change your own lifestyle, but you will probably be saving thousands of lives.
So as I say, this video wasn't meant to be controversial or to show you what we think is right or wrong in any way. It's just to increase awareness of what you're actually putting into your body. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much for listening, and then we'll see you all next time.
Hello my YouTube friends, welcome to another video. In this video wanted to put together like a better compilation of my before and after pictures from my 70-pound weight loss, because it's been about a year since I uploaded that video and people were asking for more pictures of before and after. So that's what I'm going to put together mainly in this video, and then I will talk a little bit about where I'm at now. So if you've been following me for a while, you know that I did not start eating a plant-based diet with the intent to lose weight. Oh, and if you're a new follower here, I just want to say hi and welcome. But yeah, so I didn't start doing this way of eating with the intention to lose weight. It was really because my father was in poor health. He needed to change his diet to try to save his life and hopefully reverse some of his health problems. So we looked into plant-based eating as an option to do that, and he decided to try it, and I wanted to be supportive of him, so I did this right along with him. And long story short, we both turned our health around. We're doing much better now, the both of us, and we each lost 70 pounds apiece. So yeah, the reason that I started eating this way was for health reasons, mainly for my father, not even for myself. But there's no denying that one of the pleasant side effects of this has been weight loss, and so that's what I'm going to focus on in this video. So just kind of give you a very quick background so that you understand some of the roller coaster that I've been on, you know, a majority of my life with regards to my weight. I really wasn't heavy as a teenager or as a young adult in college. I played a lot of sports. I stayed pretty trim and fit, and then I got married when I was 23. Kind of slacked off on the eating and exercising, and I put on about 40 pounds. And when I was about 25 or 26, I weighed about 175 pounds, and I'm just a little bit under 5'7". So I was pretty overweight, and I decided to start working out and, you know, watching what I ate. Hired a personal trainer, started lifting weights at the gym, started running again, and I had a nutritionist advising me on how to eat, because back then I was actually hoping to train for some sort of a physique competition, like to be on stage. So I was eating like 5 to 6 meals a day. I was training really hard, and I ended up losing 40 pounds. And then I got divorced in my late 20s, kind of went into a depression, stopped exercising, stopped, you know, the way I was eating, and started eating a whole lot of processed foods, junk foods, a lot of fast food, because I was just working a lot and just didn't feel really good about myself. And over the course of about 10 years, I gained 80 pounds. So when I was about 37 or 38, that's when I weighed my heaviest, and I was 215 pounds. And I stayed that way for several years. And then when my father started having his really serious health problems that could no longer be fixed by doctors, that's when we turned to plant-based eating. So yeah, I didn't start eating a plant-based diet until I was 40, and it took my dad and I a few months to really figure out what the heck we were doing, you know, how to cook these foods, what it was we were supposed to be eating, and it took a while for our taste buds to change as well. You know, from the rich, concentrated foods we had been eating, you know, switching over to these plant-based foods. So it took a little bit of time, but I'd say within about 6 months, we really had a system down, and everything just kind of started to click for us. So my dad's weight loss transformation was actually pretty dramatic. He lost weight really quickly, and I think he lost weight probably too quickly, but he was in panic mode because his health was so bad, and he was really afraid he wasn't going to survive if he didn't lose weight quickly. So he dropped his weight really quickly. But if you look at before and after pictures of him, I think he actually looks a lot younger now, and my dad's going to be 69 this year. Me, it took about a year and a half to lose 70 pounds, which comes out to be about a pound a week, and that's really slow, healthy, sustainable weight loss, because it wasn't just a quick fix for, you know, my dad or me. It was more changing our lifestyle. So that meant we had to change our habits and change a lot of our behaviors, and that takes time to do. So yeah, it took about a year and a half for me to lose the weight, but I think the key here is that it was sustainable, because I've been able to keep my weight off for, you know, over 3 years at this point with really no problem. And I think one of the reasons that I, you know, lost weight so easily on a plant-based diet was the principle of calorie density. Calorie density is just the amount of calories that are in a unit of a particular food, and it varies depending on what type of food you're talking about. So for example, at the lowest end of the scale are your non-starchy vegetables, and these are things that you would normally see on something like a salad, you know, your greens, mushrooms, onions, carrots, tomatoes, summer squash, other vegetables like broccoli, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, those kinds of things. And they weigh in at about 100 calories per pound. Going a little bit further up the scale are your fruits, on average about 300 calories per pound. And then a little further up are your nice hearty starchy foods, and those are your potatoes, sweet potatoes, corn, rice and other whole grains, beans, peas and lentils, and your winter squashes. And those are about 400 to 600 calories per pound. And I ate primarily from these food groups, which were naturally lower in calorie density than the rich foods that I had been used to eating before that. And somebody made the comment, well, you know, you lost weight because you gave up junk food. So let's look at that. It's not entirely untrue. In fact, it probably would have worked, and the reason I know it would have worked is because I did it 20 years ago when I was bodybuilding. And at that time, I was eating a whole food diet. It wasn't a whole food plant-based diet because I was still eating a lot of animal protein, a lot of it. But it was a whole food diet. So a plate for me looked like a small portion of animal protein with maybe a sweet potato or a baked potato or a side of rice and then a side of vegetables. And I ate very little, if any, junk foods with that. And yes, I shed 40 pounds and I was working out really hard. But this time around, my dad and I decided to give up animal products because of the negative health effects associated with them, and he just couldn't risk having any more of that stuff in his diet because his blood vessels were just so badly damaged already. So we just couldn't take the risk, and we removed them from our diet, and we've honestly never looked back. And then over time, we both learned about the ethics behind how our animals are treated to become food on our plate, and I'll be honest, that really sealed the deal for me. So yeah, we really are happy with the choices that we made. It worked for us. I know there's a lot of ways that, you know, people can lose weight. There's lots of different dietary patterns to follow to lose weight. This just happened to work for us. So back in August, I think it was, I made a video about wanting to go to the next step, like ready to take my fitness to the next level. And keep in mind, I have lost 70 of the 80 pounds that I gained when I was in my 30s. So I wouldn't say I'm struggling with the last 10 because honestly, I'm not unhappy with the way that I look and haven't been unhappy. I feel vibrant and healthy, and I think I look just fine. But I have wanted to just improve my fitness a little bit more, and I was like, yeah, I'm ready to do this. And obviously I wasn't ready to do it because I didn't do it. And it was one excuse after another. And then along came the holidays and a lot of, you know, feasting and rich foods and desserts and things like that. And then winter really set in, and of course I turned to food for warmth and comfort, and I was a little bit less active this winter than I am in the warmer months. So yeah, I actually ended up gaining, I think, right around 5 to 8 pounds. It varies a little bit over the winter, which was fine. I actually didn't feel or look any different, but I could tell that my work pants were just a little bit more uncomfortable. So I knew it was time to do something. So what I ended up doing was hiring a personal trainer, which, yes, that's an added expense, but we kind of worked it into our budget because it was something that's really important to me at this point. And I ended up joining our little gym here in town, which is very inexpensive, and it's nothing fancy, but it has all the equipment that we need. So I've been doing that for about 7 weeks now, and I wanted to start making this video series because we are starting to see some physical changes happening at this point. So my personal trainer is awesome. She's 56. She's in amazing shape. 3 years ago, she did a bodybuilding competition, and now she's thinking about doing another bikini contest. And let me tell you, she's really, really motivating. I love working with her, and she's showing me how to do everything, you know, safely with really good form in the gym. Because I did all this like 20 years ago, but honestly, I've forgotten a lot of it, and I needed help getting back on track. So yes, I hired a professional at this point, and I'm glad that I did because I feel like I'm back home in the gym. I absolutely love it. I loved this when I did this 20 years ago. It just feels like my thing. I feel like I'm in my element, and I just absolutely love it. I think with me anyways, lifting weights is just really empowering, and it's a good way for me to get my extra energy out. So yeah, it's just something I absolutely love. So my trainer has me doing 3 sessions a week at the gym lifting weights, and then I'm doing my cardio on a daily basis. And I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm just continuing to walk. I make sure that I incorporate hills and kind of change it up a little bit. Sometimes when I'm at work, I'll take the stairs because we have 11 floors at my hospital, so I'll take the stairs at least once, if not twice, instead of going for a walk, just to kind of change it up a little bit. So I'm not looking to do a bikini contest or anything like that. I just told my trainer I want something that's sustainable, that I can realistically do for the rest of my life. I'm going to end up being that 85-year-old who's still lifting weights, and I'm just looking to improve my strength and flexibility and, you know, to kind of reshape my body and get some lean, shapely muscle going. So we are already starting to see some physical changes, which is really motivating. She told me it wouldn't happen for, you know, the first 8 weeks or so, and then all of a sudden we'd start seeing changes. So next week is our 8th week, and she's going to be doing some more body measurements, and we'll compare them to the ones that she did when I first started. So I'm really excited about taking you guys along with me on this experience, because for a lot of people, losing the last 10, 15, 20 pounds can be a challenge, because it's almost like your body fights back when you start getting closer to trim body weight, and you have to change some things up as far as your diet and exercise goes, and you got to push yourself a little bit harder at that point. So yeah, I want to take you along with me, because throughout this whole channel I've always tried to be just myself and be real and genuine, and you're going to see the ups and the downs. So yeah, I think this is going to be really interesting, and hopefully it can be motivating and inspiring to somebody else. So that's all I got today. So I'm gonna go enjoy the rest of this day. You enjoy your day. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.